The Urantia Book, Decoded, The Full Course. Course 1, Episode 1, The Person at the Beginning. This transforms spiritual practice from an exercise in devotion to an adventure in cooperation. You are not praying to a far-off God. You are learning to pray with the God who lives in you. This understanding shatters the old paradigms of fear and judgment. How could a father who has placed his own essence within you ever truly abandon you? How could the journey be a test of fear when the guide is perfect love? The adjuster does not condemn, it patiently illuminates. It shows you, through the consequences of your own choices, the difference between the path that leads toward the light and the path that leads into shadow. It is the ultimate teacher, using the curriculum of your own life. We have laid the cornerstone. The foundation is this: reality is personal, relational, and rooted in a love so generous it chooses to dwell within its own creation. You are not alone. You have never been alone. The most powerful being in all existence is, in a very real sense, your closest companion. With this foundation of personhood set, we can now look up and begin to explore the magnificent architecture that flows from it. Close your eyes for a moment and forget everything you think you know about the beginning. Forget the scientific theories, the ancient myths, the philosophical speculations. I want you to imagine instead a single, unwavering note, a tone so pure, so fundamental, that it doesn't just fill silence, it defines what sound is. Before this note, there was no music, only potential. This note is the source of every song, every harmony, every discord that will ever be. It is not an impersonal vibration. This note is alive. It is conscious. It is personal. This is the first secret we must uncover. The foundation of all existence is not an it, but a he. A person, a father. And understanding this one truth changes everything. It changes the very nature of reality from a cold mechanical accident into a story with an author. Think of the most loving, wisest, most creatively powerful person you can possibly conceive. Then, understand that you have barely imagined a faint whisper of the reality. The Universal Father, whom we encounter in the very first paper of this revelation, is that living note. He is what the ancient mystics pointed to when they spoke of the unmoved mover, and what the modern physicist hints at when they seek a unified field. But here we are given a name for that field, a personality. And personality implies relationship, intention, and love. This is our starting point, not with a bang, but with a being. So let us begin this journey of decoding not by looking outward at the stars, but by turning inward to the very core of what it means to be. If the center of everything is a person, then what does that say about us who feel that pull toward meaning, toward connection? That feeling is not a biological glitch. It is the gravitational tug of the source and center. It is the proof written in the longing of your own soul that you are not an orphan in a meaningless universe. You are a child of a living Father. And this entire cosmic curriculum is about remembering that relationship and coming home. This first episode is the cornerstone of the entire structure. If we get this wrong, everything we build afterward will be crooked. So we must ask, with all the humility and courage we can muster, what does it really mean that God is a person? Not a metaphor, not a symbol, a person. The revelators give us a profound title to contemplate: First Source and Center. This is not poetic flourish, it is precise cosmic engineering. Source means the point of emanation, the infinite will from which all things pour forth. Spirit, mind, energy, personality itself. He is the fountainhead. But a fountain that only poured outward would eventually drain, leaving a scattered, disconnected universe. That is where the second part of the title becomes utterly essential. Center. A center is a point of gravity, of attraction, of unity. It is the place where things are drawn back. The Universal Father is both the explosive creative outpouring and the magnetic, loving pull that seeks to draw all creation back into a perfected relationship. He is both the breath that sends us forth and the heartbeat that calls us home. This dual nature solves the oldest philosophical riddle. How can the one become the many without losing itself? The answer is here, through a personal love that freely gives itself away, yet remains the central anchor for all that is given. Let me offer you an analogy from the natural world, a shadow of this divine reality. Consider the sun. It is a source. It pours out light and heat and energy without any depletion of its core essence. That energy travels across the void, giving life to planets, warming the soil, powering every living process. But the sun is also a center. Its massive gravity holds an entire solar system in a graceful, ordered dance around its source of light. The Father is like that, but infinitely more so. He is the source of personality and spirit, sending forth the energy of being, and He is the gravitational center of all love and truth, holding all personalities in an eternal ascending orbit toward Himself. Now, if this being is truly personal and His core nature is love, then love must express itself. A person who loves, by their very nature, seeks to share, to know, and to be known. An impersonal force does not yearn for relationship. A blind principle does not sacrifice its own unity for the sake of communion, but a Father does. This brings us to the most intimate, the most staggering idea you will encounter in this first paper, and perhaps in your entire life: the gift of the thought adjuster. This is the master key to your own cosmic identity. The revelators tell us that the Father does not rule from an infinite cold distance. In an act of love so profound it defies full comprehension, He fragments His own pre-personal spirit, He sends a part of his own consciousness, a pure and perfect spark, a divine blueprint to indwell the mind of every single normal-willed human being on every world like ours. This indwelling presence has many names: the thought adjuster, the mystery monitor, the inner pilot, the fragment of the Father. Do not mistake this for a metaphor, or for your own conscience, or for a nice idea. This is presented as a literal, functional reality. This adjuster is not you. It is the divine seed, the perfect pattern of the Father's own nature implanted within you. It is your potential eternal self, your eternal guide, your true compass. Its entire purpose is to know you, to fuse with you, and to lead you step by step, choice by choice, back to the very source from which it came. It is the proof of your eternal worth. You are not merely a creature God made. You are a creature God is making from the inside out by placing a part of Himself within you to do the work. This is the esoteric heart of the teaching. The kingdom of God is within you. It is not a place. It is a presence, a person within a person. So let's bring this from cosmic theory to your kitchen table. What does this mean for you right now, today? It means that your deepest intuition, that quiet voice that urges you toward goodness, truth, and beauty, that is not just you being ethical. That is the gravitational pull of the center, amplified by the quiet whisper of the fragment within. Your moments of profound peace, your sudden insights, your inexplicable sense of being guided or loved, these are not random neurological events. They are points of contact. They are communion. It means your spiritual journey is not about earning the love of a distant deity. It is about surrendering to the love of an indwelling Father fragment that already knows you perfectly and loves you absolutely. Your task is not to build a ladder to heaven, but to still the noise and listen to the guide who is already showing you the path from within. The next step in our decoding will introduce us to the eternal Son, the perfect expression of this Father's love. But before we move on, we must let this first truth settle into the very bones of our understanding. Take a deep breath. Let the idea resonate. Feel for that inner presence. That is your starting point. That is your point of contact with everything we will discuss from now on. This is not just information. It is an invitation to a relationship that has already begun. If the center is a person, then we must ask, what is the character of this person? What is his will, his motive, his driving force? The revelation gives us an answer of breathtaking simplicity and infinite depth. God is love, but immediately it cautions us with a profound distinction. Love is not God. This is a critical decoding key. Love is not some impersonal floating energy that God taps into. Love is the very character, the essential nature, the personality core of the universal Father. His every decision, His creative act, His cosmic law, His personal touch,
All of it flows from this central fatherly affection. Think of it as the color of his being, not just something he does, but what he is. This divine love is not a sentimental emotion as we often understand it. It is the cohesive, creative, and unifying force of all reality. It is the gravity of personality. Just as physical gravity draws matter together into stars and planets, divine love draws personalities together into families, communities, and ultimately into the cosmic family of the Father himself. This love is a willful, intelligent, purposeful affection that seeks the highest possible good for every other person. It is the desire for perfect relationship. When we speak of universal law, then we are not speaking of cold, mechanical decrees. We are speaking of the loving habits of a father, the reliable patterns he has established so that his children can learn, grow, and find their way in safety. This brings us to the concept of the Father's will. In a human being, will can be capricious, changeable, self-serving. The Father's will is the consistent, unswerving expression of his loving nature. It is not arbitrary command. It is the perfect pathway for growth. His will is the current of love flowing through the riverbed of cosmic law. To align with his will is not to submit to a tyrant's whim. It is to place your canoe in the central current of the river, the one that flows most surely and smoothly toward the ocean of perfection. Resisting that will is like paddling frantically against the current. It creates friction, exhaustion, and pain, not because the river is punishing you, but because you are fighting the very nature of the water that carries you. Now, how does this loving will interact with a universe of free will creatures like us? This is the great drama. The Father's love is so perfect that it refuses to coerce. Love cannot be forced. It can only be invited and freely given in return. Therefore, the Father's sovereignty is not one of control, but of influence. He pours forth his love, establishes the laws that reflect his nature, sends his fragments to indwell us, and then he steps back. He respects our personhood enough to let us choose. This is the sacred space of our lives, the gap between the Father's loving invitation and our free will response. Our spiritual maturity is measured by how narrow we make that gap. Consider the metaphor of a master gardener and a seed. The gardener, motivated by love for the potential flower, provides everything: the perfect soil of cosmic law, the warm sunlight of divine spirit, the gentle rain of opportunity. He even places a spark of his own life, the thought adjuster, within the seed's very core. But he does not dig up the seed every day to demand it grow. He does not force the blossom open. He provides, he watches, he nurtures. But the seed must choose to respond. It must reach for the sun, push through the soil, and drink the rain. Our lives are that sacred choice, moment by moment. The entire cosmos is a garden designed for our growth, governed by a will that is love in action. This understanding revolutionizes our idea of prayer. Prayer is not about informing a distant God of our needs, nor is it a ritual to change his mind. If his will is perfect love, why would we want to change it? True prayer, in this decoded view, is the conscious alignment of our will with his. It is us sitting in the garden of our own soul with the indwelling gardener and saying, "Teach me to reach for your light. Help me to drink from your rain. Let my life become the flower you see in your heart." It is a communion between the seed and the gardener within, a collaborative conversation about the growth process. It also transforms our understanding of adversity and suffering. From this perspective, pain is never the Father's direct will. It is the inevitable friction that occurs when a free will creature, in its ignorance or rebellion, chooses a path that runs against the grain of loving law. The Father's will in that moment is not the suffering, but the relentless, loving presence that seeks to use even that friction to teach, to refine, to redirect. The pain is the splash from paddling against the current. The Father's love is the constant, steady pull of the current itself, always inviting you to turn and flow with it once more. So the personality of the universal Father is one of sovereign love and liberating will. He is the ultimate parent whose authority is rooted in perfect service, whose laws are designed for ultimate freedom, and whose goal is not submission, but partnership. He is creating not servants, but sons and daughters who will one day share his creative responsibility and love with the same wisdom and generosity. This is the staggering destiny our indwelling adjuster is guiding us toward, not just to worship God, but to become like him. With this richer picture of the Father's personal nature, love as his character, will as its expression, and our free will as the sacred space for response, we have built the first solid layer of our foundation. We have moved from an abstract first source to a relatable, loving Father personality. But a single point, no matter how brilliant, is still alone. Love, to be complete, must be shared. It must have an object, a perfect echo, a co-creative partner. This brings us to the next great revelation, the second person of the Trinity, and the answer to a beautiful question. If the Father is love, then what is the Son? If the Father is the silent, boundless love waiting to be expressed, then the Son is that love breaking into song. Imagine the deepest, most profound feeling in the heart of the universe. A feeling so vast it contains all potential for relationship, all blueprints for beauty, all the unspeakable affection of a parent.
Now imagine that feeling finding a voice, not an external voice, but a voice that is its own perfect and personal expression. That voice, eternal and co-equal, is the eternal Son. He is the Word. Not a word that was spoken once, but a word that is eternally being spoken. The Father's love is static infinity. The Son is that infinity made dynamic, personal, and accessible. He is the Father's love personified. The revelators give the Son a title that mirrors the Father's, yet reveals a different function.
second source and center. He is a source because from him flows all spirit reality, all personality endowment beyond the Father's direct gift. He is the wellspring of pure spirit. And he is a center, for he becomes the gravitational heart of all spirit gravity. If the Father is the center of all things and beings, the Son is the specific, powerful center that draws all spiritual aspirations, all soul longing upward. Think of the Father's love as the Son's warmth and light. The Son is that light focused into a perfect guiding beam, a spiritual laser of truth that cuts through illusion and shows the way home. He is the pattern of all personality. This relationship solves a great mystical puzzle. How does the infinite, unknowable One become knowable? The answer is the Son. The Father, in his infinite fullness, is beyond the direct comprehension of any finite being. We could no more gaze directly upon the Father's core than we could stare into the heart of a star without being blinded. But the Son is the brightness of that star's light filtered into a spectrum we can see and understand. He is the express image of the Father's person. In knowing the Son, we are knowing the Father in a form we can relate to, love, and follow. He is the bridge between infinity and personality. Let's use an analogy from the world of art. The Father is the inspired artist with a vision of breathtaking beauty burning in his soul, a vision full of emotion, meaning, and depth. That vision, while perfect in the artist's mind, is locked within. Then the artist picks up a brush. The moment the first stroke of paint touches the canvas, that inner vision begins its journey into reality. That first stroke and every stroke that follows is the Son. The Son is the perfect, living expression of the Father's inner vision. The painting is not the artist, but you can know the artist's heart by studying the painting. The Son is the living masterpiece, eternally flowing from the Father's creative heart. This has a direct and profound implication for our spiritual journey. Many seekers spend their lives trying to approach an abstract, formless absolute, feeling frustrated by the silence and the distance. The revelation here provides a cosmic shortcut. Turn your gaze to the Son. In the person of the Son, the abstract becomes personal. The distant becomes near. The law becomes a living being you can love. Worship and adoration, which can feel vague when directed toward an infinite principle, find a clear focus in the personality of the eternal Son. He is the loveliness of divinity we can actually fall in love with. The Son's primary attribute, reflecting the Father's love, is truth. He is the ultimate reality of spirit. The Father is love. The Son is the truth of that love made manifest. Where the Father's love is the motivating force, the Son's truth is the perfect pattern, the divine template. All spirit entities, all soul growth are patterned after the Son's personality reality. This is why the journey of soul growth is often described as becoming truth realized. It is the process of having our messy, incomplete personalities slowly rewoven by our own choices and the ministry of spirit to align with the perfect truth pattern of the Son's being. The thought adjuster within us is of the Father. The ideal we are growing toward is patterned after the Son. Now we arrive at a concept that is central to the entire cosmic scheme: the bestowal. The eternal Son does not remain in isolated perfection. His nature is outgoing love, just as the Father's is. Throughout the unfolding ages, the Son pours himself out personally into the time-space universes. He bestows himself. This means a person of the Paradise Trinity, the very eternal Son, voluntarily leaves his place of supreme authority and takes on the life form of a creature, living a life from birth to death within the limitations of that form. He does this to fully understand, experientially, the life of his children, and to personally bridge the gap between the highest and the lowest. The most famous of these bestowals for us is the life of Jesus of Nazareth. The revelators present this as the seventh and final bestowal of Michael, a creator son of the eternal Son, who was also of the nature of the Father. In that life, the personality and truth of the eternal Son were perfectly combined with the human experience. This was not a mere visitation. It was a complete immersion. The Creator lived the life of the creature, subject to hunger, fatigue, sorrow, and temptation, in order to fully comprehend us, to redeem us from spiritual deadlock, and to show us, in a way we could see and touch, what a human life fully fused with the divine will looks like. He painted with his own actions the clearest picture of the Father's love we have ever seen. This bestowal principle is not a one-time event. It is a reflection of the Son's eternal nature of self-giving. It tells us that the highest beings in the cosmos are not aloof rulers, but servant leaders who know our journey because they have willingly walked it. It dignifies our human struggle. Your pain, your doubt, your moments of joy, they have been fully experienced and understood at the very highest levels of reality. You are not alone in your experience. The path has been personally scouted by royalty. With the introduction of the Son, the universe gains its moral compass, its perfect standard. The Father's love is the warmth. The Son's truth is the light that reveals the path through the wilderness. Together they establish the foundational polarity of the cosmos, love and truth. But a polarity requires a third point to complete the circuit, to translate potential into action. Love provides the motive, truth provides the pattern, but what provides the power? What is the force that takes the Father's vision and the Son's blueprint and actually builds the universe? This brings us to the third person of the Trinity, the infinite and activating presence of the Mother Spirit. If the Father is the dream, and the Son is the perfect word of that dream, then the infinite Spirit is the breath that gives that word voice and power. She is the dynamic actor, the divine executive, the translating agent who takes the silent love of the Father and the perfect pattern of the Son and sets them into motion. The revelators call her the third source and center, the conjoint actor, and the universe mother. This is not a passive force, but an infinite, personal, and creative presence who is the source of all animation, all mind, and all ministry in the cosmos. She is the divine verb, where the Father is the noun and the Son is the adjective.
Imagine a master composer who hears a complete symphony in his mind. That is the Father. He then writes down the perfect score, capturing every note and harmony. That is the Son. But the symphony remains silent on the page until it is given to a conductor and an orchestra. The conductor, with boundless energy and skill, brings the musicians together, interprets the score, and with a sweep of her arm ignites the entire ensemble into sound. The infinite spirit is that conductor. She is the activator. Without her, the love remains unexpressed and the truth remains a blueprint. Through her, the universe sings. Her title, Conjoint Actor, is deeply revealing. She is conjoint because she springs from the union of the Father and the Son. She is not a subsequent creation, but an equal person, eternally emanating from their perfect partnership. She is the living result of their love, the child of the divine parents, inheriting attributes from both. From the Father, she derives her infinity and creativity. From the Son, she derives her spirit nature and perfection of purpose. And she brings something new into existence, the endowment of mind and the principle of active, intelligent ministry. She is the personification of divine service. This introduces us to the profound concept of the mother aspect of deity. While the Father is the origin and the Son is the personality pattern, the Mother Spirit is the nurturer, the sustainer, the one who broods over chaos and brings forth order and life. She is the womb of creation. In our local universe, she partners with the Creator Sun to literally give birth to the planets, to inseminate space with the seeds of life, and to foster the growth of ascending souls. Your first conscious impulse towards truth, your curiosity, your intellectual hunger, your sense of wonder, these are not random. They are the gentle touch of the Mother Spirit upon your mind, encouraging you to reach, to learn, to grow. The infinite Spirit is the source of all cosmic mind, not just human intellect, but the entire spectrum of intelligence, from the mechanical responsiveness of an atom to the supreme wisdom of paradise beings. She is the giver of the 7 master spirits who diversify mind into its primary forms, giving each super-universe its unique intellectual and spiritual flavor. This means the very way you think, the particular quality of your curiosity and your problem-solving is a personalized gift from the Mother through this cosmic mind circuitry. Your mind is a fragment of the universal mind, a tool given to you to use in partnership with your spirit-led thoughts to discern truth from falsehood, reality from illusion. Beyond mind, her primary role is ministry. The infinite Spirit is the great minister, the compassionate caregiver of the cosmos. She is the unseen hand that soothes, the sudden intuition that guides, the surge of strength when you are weary.
The revelators speak of her vast family of spirit beings, the seraphim, cherubim, and other ministering spirits, who are all her children, her agents of comfort, protection, and guidance in our lives. When you feel an unexpected sense of peace in turmoil, or a nudge to avoid danger, or a wave of compassion for a stranger, you are experiencing the ministry of the Mother Spirit, often working through her unseen celestial helpers. You are being mothered by the universe. This completes our understanding of the foundational Trinity. We now have a composite picture: the Father of love, the source of personality and will, the Son of truth, the source of spirit and pattern, the Spirit of mind and ministry, the source of action and nurture. One God in three personal manifestations, each distinct in function, yet perfectly united in purpose. This is not a mathematical contradiction to be solved, but a living relationship to be experienced. Love desires expression, the Son, and that expression, in union with love, desires to act and serve, the Spirit. It is a perpetual, outpouring cycle of divinity. For us, this means we live in a universe that is fundamentally friendly, intelligent, and nurturing. The governing power is not a single stern father figure, but a divine family. We have a Father who gives us our being and our indwelling guide, a brother-son who shows us the perfect path and has walked our path, and a mother spirit who surrounds us with mind, ministry, and compassionate care. You are not merely subject to cosmic law. You are a child within a cosmic household. Your spiritual growth is the process of becoming conscious of and learning to cooperate with all three aspects of this loving parentage. With the Trinity in view, our foundation is almost complete. But a structure needs a place to stand. Love, truth, and action require a stage upon which to unfold their drama. They require a stable, absolute, and eternal reality that is not personal, but is the foundation for all personality and all energy. This brings us to the most mysterious concept of all, the Isle of Paradise. This is not a location in space, but the absolute stationary center of all things, the universe's unmoving anchor, its foundational pattern, and the source of all physical energy. Beyond the personal presences of the Trinity exists an absolute reality so foundational, so utterly unique that it defies all human analogy. It is not a person, yet it is the source of all personality circuits. It is not spirit, yet it is the foundation for all spirit gravity. It is not matter, yet it is the architectural blueprint from which all physical universes are derived. This is the Isle of Paradise. It is the eternal, stationary, absolutely material, and perfectly stable center of all things.
Think of it not as a place you could ever travel to in a spaceship, but as the absolute coordinate of reality, the unmoving 0 point from which all existence expands and around which it all revolves. If the Trinity is the living heart of God, paradise is his eternal home and his master workshop. Imagine attempting to draw a picture of the universe. You would need a piece of paper, a stable, unchanging background upon which to place your stars and galaxies. That paper itself is not part of the drawing. It is the necessary foundation that makes the drawing possible. Paradise is that paper. It is the non-created, eternal foundation upon which the Father projects the living drama of creation. It is absolutely material, but of a material reality so dense, so perfect, and so unlike anything in the time-space universes that it is, for all practical purposes, a different order of existence entirely. It is the one and only thing in all reality that is truly motionless. Everything else, from a spinning electron to a swirling galaxy, moves in relation to this immovable center. This concept of an absolute center is vital for understanding the cosmos's structure and our place within it. All gravity, both physical and spiritual, flows in concentric patterns toward paradise. Physical gravity pulls matter inward toward the material center of paradise. Spirit gravity pulls personality and soul essence inward toward the spiritual presences that dwell at its heart. This creates a universe that is not evolving into nothingness, but is rather organized in majestic, orderly levels around a fixed and perfect core. You are, right now, whether you feel it or not, caught in this gentle, inexorable pull toward the center. Your physical body is subject to the material gravity of your planet, which is part of a grand cascade of gravity leading to paradise. Your soul is subject to the spiritual gravity of the Father, Son, and Spirit, which has its focal point at paradise. You are always being drawn home on every level. Paradise is also the source of all energy. From this eternal isle issue the unimaginable powers that activate the cosmos. These energies are not random explosions. They are intelligent, patterned, and administered. They flow outward from paradise through the absonate universe of Havona, are modified and qualified by the master spirits, and then distributed by the power directors to shape and sustain the evolving universes of time and space. The electricity in a storm cloud, the nuclear fire in a star, the chemical energy in your cells, all of it is a downstream trickle from this infinite fountain of pure force originating at the absolute center. This means the universe is not running down. It is being constantly replenished and renewed from its core. For the human seeker, the practical implication is profound. The universe is stable and trustworthy at its foundation. The ground of being is not chaotic or illusory. It is solid, eternal, and perfect. The spiritual path is not a journey into abstraction, but a journey toward a real, absolute center. Meditation and worship can be seen as the conscious alignment of one's being with these gravitational pulls, sitting in stillness to feel the soul's tug toward spirit, and acknowledging the body's connection to the grand physical order. It is the practice of orienting your inner compass to true north, which is fixed upon paradise. But paradise is more than a center and a source. It is a pattern. Its three concentric dimensions are the absolute archetype of universe architecture. The central aisle is the pattern of perfection and eternity. The surrounding sacred spheres are the pattern of administration and personal ministry. The vast peripheral domains are the pattern of potential and future growth. Every universe, world, and even personal spiritual experience contains echoes of this threefold pattern: an inner core of truth, a middle realm of personal relationship and service, and an outer realm of growth and possibility. You see this in your own life, your inner values, core, your relationships and work, middle, and your dreams and unexplored potentials, outer. Your life is a miniature, evolving reflection of paradise architecture. With the Trinity established as the personal source of love, truth, and action, and with paradise established as the impersonal foundation of stability and energy, the stage is now set. The actors are present. The theater is built and illuminated. But between the blazing absolute perfection of paradise and the swirling nascent potential of the time-space creations we call home, lies a universe of consummate beauty and finished reality. This is Havona, the central universe. It is not an evolving experiment. It is an eternal, perfect fact. It was not created in time, but exists alongside the Trinity as their timeless masterpiece. A living, breathing revelation of what a universe looks like when divine thought is translated into divine action without the limitations of time, error, or imperfection. Imagine a symphony that has never known a discordant note, a painting where every brushstroke is eternally ideal, a garden where every flower blooms in perpetual harmony. Havona is that symphony, that painting, that garden, existing on a scale of 1 billion perfect worlds, each a unique and breathtaking chapter in the story of divine completeness. Havona is the university of eternity. Its 1 billion spheres are not arranged for residence, but for education. They are the curriculum. Each world presents a distinct phase of spiritual truth, cosmic philosophy, or personality realization, progressing from the simpler truths near the periphery to the awe-inspiring realities closer to paradise. For the ascending souls who eventually reach its shores, pilgrims like us, who began on worlds of time, Havona is the final and most glorious school before paradise attainment. But for the eternal beings native to this realm, it is simply home, and their perfect service is to guide and teach those who arrive from the outer worlds hungry for final truth. This introduces a pivotal concept in the cosmic scheme. The ascension plan is not a vague spiritual sentiment, but a structured educational journey with a clear destination and a meticulously designed syllabus. You are not merely becoming more spiritual. You are a student in the grandest university imaginable, and your current life on Earth is the first foundational grade in a limitless academic career. The trials, relationships, and choices of your life here are your first lessons in morality, love, and personality development, the prerequisite courses for admission to the more advanced training on the mansion worlds and beyond, all leading, ultimately, to Havona. The existence of Havona solves a profound existential problem. How can imperfect, evolving creatures ever hope to comprehend or approach absolute perfection? The answer is that perfection itself has constructed a bridge. Havona is that bridge. It is perfection graduated,
slowed down and translated into 1 billion manageable lessons. An ascending mortal does not leap from human confusion to divine clarity in an instant. They spiral inward through these billion worlds, absorbing truth, beauty, and goodness in stages their soul can actually digest. Perfection, therefore, is not a distant, intimidating pole star, but a welcoming path, a spiral staircase with a step for every level of growth you achieve. For us now, in our earthly state, the meaning of Havona is one of hope and context. It tells us that our confusion has an answer, our longing has a fulfillment, and our questions have a classroom where they will be lovingly addressed. The sense that truth exists somewhere, whole and complete, is not an illusion. It is an intuition of a real place, a real system. Your deepest intellectual yearning to understand and your deepest spiritual yearning to behold beauty are not random impulses. They are the soul's homing instinct, sensing the gravitational pull of the billion spheres. Your life's purpose is to pack your bags for that journey, to earn your passport through faith, love, and willing service. But Havona also serves another critical function. It is the pattern for everything that follows. The evolving universes of time and space are not invented from nothing. They are constructed by creator sons and creative spirits using Havona as the divine template. The potentials for life, the principles of government, the ideals of society, the blueprints for physical and spiritual reality, all are derived from the perfect patterns on display in the central universe. This means that embedded in the very fabric of our world, in the laws of physics and the promptings of conscience, are echoes of Havonal perfection. We are living in a rough draft, but the final glorious manuscript already exists. With the stage set by Paradise and the perfect pattern established by Havona, the cosmic narrative now turns from the eternal and perfect to the adventurous and personal. From the Paradise portals, there emerge the ultimate pioneers, the creator sons. These are not administrators of a finished realm, but sovereigns of possibility. The brave volunteers who take the divine blueprints of Havona and the infinite potentials of the Father-Son union into the uncharted frontiers of space and time to build something new. A creator son, often called a Michael after the first and chief of their order, is a unique being. He is a direct personalization of the original Father-Son concept, endowed with the spirit of the Father and the personality pattern of the Eternal Son. He is, in the most profound sense, a Son of God, sent to create a family. When such a son arrives in a designated realm of space, he partners with a complement, a creative daughter of the infinite spirit, a universe mother spirit. Together, this creative pair undertakes the monumental task of universe building. From the cosmic mind and transforming energy, they elaborate galaxies, whirl solar systems into being, and foster the slow, majestic procession of physical evolution upon myriad worlds. But their primary mission is not architecture, it is parenthood. Their universe is not merely a physical structure, but a nursery for souls, a cradle for personalities who will one day ascend to know the very sources of their being. The Creator Son is our local universe father. The Mother Spirit is our local universe mother. Our immediate cosmic lineage begins with them. The most astonishing aspect of a Michael's career is not the initial act of creation, but the subsequent act of immersion. To fully understand, govern, and spiritually redeem his children, a Creator Son undertakes 7 unique bestowal missions. He voluntarily and repeatedly sets aside his sovereign power and, in the form of one of his own creatures, lives a full life from birth to death within the very conditions he has established. He bestows himself as a baby, as a child, as an adult, experiencing the full spectrum of existence, from the most humble to the most demanding orders of his creation. He does this to achieve 3 supreme goals: experiential wisdom, judicial sovereignty, and merciful understanding. This bestowal plan is the ultimate expression of divine empathy. It means the ruler of your universe has not just decreed the laws you live under, he has personally lived under them. He has felt hunger, known fatigue, endured temptation, wept in sorrow, and rejoiced in love, all within the limitations of a creature's life. He has submitted to the very evolutionary processes he initiated. There is no gap of understanding between the Creator and the creature. He has bridged it himself from our side. This is why the revelators can state with absolute confidence that we have a sovereign who is touched with the feeling of our infirmities. He is not a distant king, but a brother sovereign who has earned his right to rule by the sweat of his brow and the love in his heart. For our world, Urantia, the final and most sublime of these 7 bestowals occurred in the life of Jesus of Nazareth. This was the 7th bestowal of Michael of Nebadon, our local universe. In that life, a Creator Son, a being of unimaginable power and antiquity, lived the life of a human being, from infant vulnerability to a mortal death. This was not a theophany, a temporary appearance. It was a complete incarnation. The being who fashioned galaxies learned the carpenter's trade. The Father of angels felt the sting of human rejection. The source of life submitted to biological death. This act forever changed the relationship between the human and the divine in our local universe. It welded a bond of shared experience that can never be broken. The practical implication for your spiritual life is revolutionary. You are not striving to please a deity who has no concept of your struggle. You are learning to cooperate with a father-brother who has faced every aspect of it and triumphed. Your prayers are heard by one who has prayed in desperate loneliness. Your service is observed by one who washed the feet of his friends. Your moments of doubt are understood by one who cried, "Why have you forsaken me?" This bestowal is the guarantee that your universe administration is not based on cold justice alone, but on merciful, experiential love. Your judge has been in your dock. Your king has slept in your stable. The Michael bestowals also reveal the divine methodology for achieving perfection: experience. Even a paradise-born son chooses to become perfect through the things he suffers and enjoys. This sanctifies the human journey. Your experiences, the joys, the heartbreaks, the mundane tasks are not distractions from spirituality. They are the very raw materials of soul growth. You are not just reading a textbook. You are conducting the experiments yourself in the laboratory of time. The Michael who lived as Jesus showed that a human life fully submitted to the Father's will can become a flawless revelation of that will. turning the commonplace into the cathedral and mortal years into an eternal triumph. With the Creator Son established as our personal universe parent and compassionate sovereign, the foundational family structure of our local cosmos is complete. We have a Father in paradise, a brother pattern in the eternal Son, a mother spirit in the infinite Spirit and her local universe daughter, and a Creator Father-brother in Michael. But a family needs a home, and a universe needs a government. The administration of a local universe is a vast, intricate, and personal affair, designed not for control, but for fostering growth. This brings us to the celestial hierarchies, the ministers, administrators, and teachers who form the living government of love, and who are intimately involved in the details of your life and your long ascent. A universe conceived in love cannot be governed by decree alone. It must be administered through personal ministry. The celestial hierarchies are the answer to this divine necessity. A vast, living network of intelligent beings who translate the abstract love of God into concrete guidance, protection, and education for every single soul. This is not a bureaucracy, but a family of service. Think of it as a cosmic ecosystem of help, where every blade of spiritual grass, every growing soul is tended by gardeners of unimaginable wisdom and compassion. From the highest counselors on the constellation capitals to the personal guardian seraphim who walk beside you, the universe is staffed with personalities whose sole joy is to facilitate your growth. At the head of this local universe administration under the Creator Son, we find beings like the bright and morning star, the firstborn of Michael's creation, and the Union of Days, a direct representative of Paradise Trinity. But closer to our human experience are orders like the Melchizedeks. These are the wise ones, the teachers, the troubleshooters of the universe. They are ascending sons who have paused their own paradise journey to serve as planetary receivers, emergency rulers, and instructors of truth. They are the cosmic professors, equally at home explaining metaphysics to a confused mortal or stabilizing a planet in political crisis. When a world falls into spiritual darkness, as ours did, a Melchizedek often steps in to hold the light until a new dispensation can be established. Then there are the seraphim, the angels of ministry and guardianship. Your personal guardian seraph is not a mere symbol. She is a reality, a loving and patient spirit companion assigned to you from birth until you no longer need her guidance. Her role is not to control your choices, but to subtly influence your environment, to arrange accidental meetings, to guard you from unnecessary physical and spiritual harm, and to foster every noble impulse of your heart. She works in perfect harmony with your indwelling thought adjuster. While the adjuster speaks from within in the language of pure truth, your seraph works from without, shaping circumstances to provide you with the ideal curriculum for soul growth. You are never, ever alone. This celestial family extends to the very soil of our world. At the dawn of human evolution, a planetary prince and his corporeal staff are sent to a planet like ours. This prince, a Lanondak son, establishes a physical headquarters, a Garden of Eden, and begins the work of civilizing and spiritually uplifting the primitive races. He teaches agriculture, art, government, and most importantly, the simple concept of one loving God. The plan was for the prince and his material helpers to biologically uplift the natives over generations, eventually blending with them to produce a leadership race that would spiritually accelerate the entire world. This was the original peaceful plan for Urantia, a plan tragically shattered by rebellion. The fact of rebellion introduces the sobering reality of free will into our cosmic story. The prince of Urantia, Caligastia, in league with a high system sovereign named Lucifer, chose to reject the universe government and declare a gospel of supposed liberty, self-assertion and independence from the perceived tyranny of divine law. This was not a mere political dispute. It was a catastrophic betrayal of trust that plunged our planet into a long spiritual quarantine known as the Lucifer Rebellion. The circuits of life and communication were cut. The planetary administration collapsed. The physical uplift staff, now stranded and mortal, became the source of the confusing and potent legends of gods and heroes intermingling with humans in our ancient past. This rebellion is not a myth of good and evil in a simplistic sense. It is a case study in the misuse of free will, a tragic experiment in what happens when intelligent beings choose to worship their own intellect and desire for power over the loving will of the Father. The consequences were immediate and profound. The collapse of the one-world government, the descent into tribal warfare, the slowing of spiritual progress, and a deep-seated confusion about God that has persisted for millennia. Our world became a confused, isolated, and difficult school, but a school nonetheless. Why does a loving universe allow such a thing? Because love cannot coerce. The gift of personality and free will is absolute and must be respected, even when it is used to make choices that cause immense suffering. The rebellion was allowed to run its course as a lesson to all observers, a demonstration of the inevitable, bitter fruit of rejecting the divine plan of loving service. But love also responds. The rebellion did not cause the Father to abandon Urantia. It triggered a greater response of mercy, the bestowal of Michael as Jesus, a personal love invasion to shatter the spiritual deadlock and show the way out of the darkness. So you live on a world that is both ordinary and extraordinary, a planet with a tragic history but a glorious destiny. Your spiritual climb is steeper here, the confusion thicker, the lessons harder. But because of this, the opportunities for heroic faith, for choosing love in the face of chaos, are magnified 1,000-fold. You are not a citizen of a peaceful, progressing world. You are a volunteer in a rebellion-torn sector, and every act of genuine love, truth, or beauty is a direct assault on the legacy of that ancient betrayal. You are part of the healing. With this understanding of our planetary past and the personal ministries that surround us, we are ready to bring the cosmic foundation all the way home to the human being. We have traced the line from the universal Father down through sons and spirits, through administrators and angels, to the doorstep of your own life. Now, we must ask the most practical question. What is a human being in light of all this architecture? What is the composite nature of this creature that is worthy of such an immense celestial investment? This leads us to the profound revelation of our threefold nature: body, mind, and the emerging soul, indwelt by a fragment of God. You are not a problem to be solved, but a universe to be explored. After tracing the cosmic architecture from the Father's heart to the angel by your side, we finally turn the lens inward. What is this human creature that stands at the crossroads of such immense spiritual forces? The revelation presents us not as simple souls trapped in flesh, but as magnificent and complex triune beings. We are a material body, a mediating mind, and an immortal spirit soul in the making, all indwelt by the pure pre-spirit presence of a Father fragment. You are a living workshop where eternity intersects with time, where divine purpose collaborates with human will. Your daily life is the construction site of your own eternal personality.
The body is your spaceship and your sensorium. It is the intricate physical mechanism fashioned by millions of years of evolution, now personalized by your indwelling mind. It is neither a prison nor an illusion, but a sacred gift, the vehicle through which you experience the material universe, learn its laws, and make choices with tangible consequences. Through its senses, you perceive beauty. Through its needs, you learn compassion. Through its limitations, you develop perseverance. It is the soil in which the seed of spirit is planted. To dishonor or despise the body is to reject one of the primary tools of your cosmic education. Its health and discipline are the foundational platform for clear mental and spiritual function. The mind is your commander and your artist. It is the arena of consciousness, the gift of the Mother Spirit, where thoughts are woven, decisions are weighed, and personality truly resides. The mind is the bridge. On one side, it is connected to the electrochemical energies of the brain, interpreting the signals of the material world. On the other, it is open to the spiritual influences of the adjuster and the ministry of angels. Your mind is the fulcrum of free will. It is here that you hear the quiet promptings of divinity and the loud demands of the flesh. And it is here that you, the personality, choose which voice to amplify into action. Your mind is not meant to be a passive receptor, but an active co-creator, organizing experience into wisdom and desire into loving purpose. Then there is the soul. This is the newborn, the precious creation that does not exist at your physical birth, but is born from your experiences. The soul is not the thought adjuster. The adjuster is the divine seed, the perfect pattern from God. The soul is the living, growing reality that is woven from your morally responsible choices, your decisions made in the face of truth, beauty, and goodness. When you choose patience over anger, kindness over cruelty, honesty over deceit, you are not just behaving ethically, you are literally spinning a new thread of eternal reality. That thread is integrated by the adjuster into a unique, imperishable, and ever-expanding tapestry, your soul. You are building your own eternal vehicle, stitch by daily stitch. The indwelling adjuster is the silent partner in this entire enterprise. It is the fragment of the Father's own mind and spirit, the pilot light of divinity within your mental space. It does not speak in words, but in leadings. It does not coerce, but it persistently illuminates the higher choice in every moral crossroad. Its goal is not to make you perfect overnight, but to fuse with you,
to so unify its perfect nature with your evolving soul that a new, God-knowing entity emerges, the Urantia being, the first stage of your eternal career. Fusion is the ultimate union, where the human will becomes so aligned with the divine will that they become indistinguishable, and you graduate from time into eternity as a complete and unique son or daughter of God. What then is the practical spiritual path? It is conscious cooperation with this inner presence. It begins with recognition. Sit in silence and acknowledge that you are not just your thoughts or your body. Acknowledge the guest. Speak to this inner presence as you would to a wise, loving, and utterly trustworthy friend. This is prayer at its highest. Not begging, but communion. Not listing desires, but aligning will. Ask simply, what would you have me do? How would you have me see this situation? Then listen in the stillness of your own heart. The answer may not come as a voice, but as a sudden clarity, a deepening of resolution, or a gentle nudge toward a specific action. The path continues with decision. Spirit grows by decisions, not by wishes. Every time you face a choice, whether to speak with love or criticism, to act with integrity or convenience, to forgive or to harbor resentment, see it for what it truly is, soul-building material. Choose, to the best of your current ability, the qualities of the Father: love, patience, mercy, and truth. Do not be discouraged by failure. The adjuster uses your stumbles as powerfully as your successes, teaching you through the natural consequences of your choices. The universe is a perfectly designed feedback mechanism for soul growth. Finally, the path is lived in service. Love must flow to be real. The love you receive from the Father is not meant to pool within you, but to channel through you to other personalities. The most potent spiritual practice is the ministry of daily life. The kind word to the stranger, the patient listening for the friend, the honest work of your hands, the steadfast care for your family. In these simple acts, you become a partner with your seraphim, a colleague of the angels in the healing of your world. You become a living cell in the body of Christ, a conduit of the divine love that seeks to draw all things back to the center. We have reached the end of our first great exploration. We began with a single point of personal love at the center of all things, and we have followed its outflowing through sons and spirits, through perfect patterns and courageous creators, through administrations and angels, all the way to the quiet, miraculous spark of that same love dwelling in the heart of you, the human being. The cosmos is not a machine. It is a family. It is not a prison of law, but a school of love. You are not an accident. You are a student with a divine tutor, a child with eternal parents, a pilgrim on a guaranteed journey home. This understanding is the absolute foundation. It is the unshakable truth upon which every moment of doubt, every season of pain, and every leap of joy can be constructively understood. You are known, you are loved, you are guided, and you are needed. The adventure of aligning your little life with this grand story is the only work that ultimately matters. It is the path from being a creature of God to becoming a creative son of God, destined for a service and a joy we cannot yet imagine. The course is set. The teachers are waiting. The journey begins now, in this very breath, with this next choice. So let this truth settle not just in your mind, but in the very rhythm of your breath. You are a universe within a universe, indwelt by the very source from which all galaxies spin. This is not the end of a lesson, but the first step of a lifelong remembrance. If this resonance found a home in you, if it illuminated a corner of your own inner cosmos, then please help this channel grow as a beacon for other seekers. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to continue this journey with us as we decode the next layers of the divine architecture. Drop a comment below and tell us what aspect of this cosmic foundation resonated most deeply within you. For in sharing your light, you help illuminate the path for others. Remember, the greatest exploration lies not in the stars above, but in the universe awakening within. Thank you for watching.